question for people. Do you really want the wisest and best of your people working to govern in terms of actually working in government? From my perspective, I can't think of anything, I can think of things that I would like or care about less, but I certainly can think of better things that I would do with people who were the best and the brightest among us. I want to talk today about why representative republic on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Monday, the 2nd of August of 2021. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Thank you for coming along today. Again, the subject is going to be why representative republic, and we're going to go through my notes very quickly. This was brought about by a segment that Dinesh D'Souza did on the idea that people were electing or should be electing wiser people to government. And let me just tell you that I believe that's incorrect. It's about people electing folks to concentrate on governing. That's what it's about. That's what people should be elected to do. That's so the people being elected know what they're doing and how to go about it. As it is, in every job, there's a learning curve. That's generally true even for people who've worked in the same area but done a different job. Would we like to have wiser people in government? Sure. But again, what's preferred, at least in my view, is diligent, humble, good ones. That is, people who are good people. Diligent, humble, and good. Right? These are good qualifications for people in government. It also helps for them to be willing and able to listen to folks so they make better informed decisions. One final thought, as well as being statesmen, they should be as incorruptible as possible. And that's where we're going to leave that in terms of my notes, because that's the last thing that I wrote down. Look, back a million years ago, I was in the military, and we had a couple of policies. One, you came into work when the previous shift was still there so that you could discuss things and figure out what had happened in their shift. Two, that meant that you did the same for the next shift so that they, these are all part of the first one actually, I should say, but so that they got the same sort of information when they came on their shift, right? So you had this level of continuity in place. We had another policy. If it was possible, people would have an overlap where one person stayed and trained the new person who was going to come to do their position so that they knew what was expected of that position, right? That's how that worked. Okay, so this is desirable in my mind in governance and governing as well. People have a problem with the use of the word governance there, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to argue with it. But the point is, this idea that the best and the brightest are who you take into politics, that one I won't agree with. You want people who are going to work. You want people who are going to do what the people need and want. You want people who are going to do what is largely the will of the people within reason and under the law. That's why the republic part of this whole thing, representative republic part of this whole thing is in place. Because the law is the first thing, and then what the people want within the law is the next. Okay? But do I want intelligent, really highly intelligent people in government? Well, I'll just tell you, excuse me, got a little bit of an itch. Not so much. Not so much. I'm not saying that I want dumb people in the positions. I'm not saying that I wouldn't prefer to have above average intelligence people in those positions. What I'm saying to you is I don't necessarily want the best, the brightest, the wisest. I recognize that people like Dinesh will say that if you look at those people who were in government in the United States in the early days of our country, you will find a slew of very intelligent human beings. But part of what they were trying to do was set things up in such a way that you didn't need somebody of that level of intelligence to be doing things like running the country. You can argue that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have people of that level of intelligence running the country. And I'm not really trying to say that you can't or shouldn't do that. But I am trying to say that that's not what should be necessary for a good government. The problem that we have at this point is that we've got a bunch of despotic individuals, and I'm not going to call anybody out by name when I say this, and they're on both sides of the aisle, quite frankly. And those individuals are trying to keep themselves in power, are amassing huge fortunes to themselves, are finding ways to get around the various strictures that were in place to keep them from doing bad things while they were in power. And as I said, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Yeah, it was yesterday. They're doing things that manipulate rules that were never intended to do the things that they actually ended up doing. Okay? This is the reality. This is what you need to understand. And so long as we've got that sort of thing going on, there's going to be a problem. We need, and I'm going to say this, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Our biggest problem in the United States is not who's elected to office. That's a result of the bigger problem. The bigger problem is an uninformed electorate. In fact, the bigger problem is a detached electorate. They're not even uninformed so much as detached. Of course they're uninformed because when you are detached, you're not going to be informed. You're not going to know what your government is doing. And this is why when I hear a lot of people talk and I hear them go, how could people blah, 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 blah? Well, the answer to that is really quite simple. The answer is most of those people are so busy living their day to day that they feel like they don't have the time or effort to devote to the idea of doing what it is that is necessary to help to set up a government. So they go and they cast their ballot. And guess what they do? They do what their dad did, or they do what they think is right without having really concerned or concerned themselves or considered very much what it is that they're doing. I don't say these things to be mean. I get it. People think that they have to live their lives, and I grant you that they sort of do, right? So I'm not sitting here saying, well, these people are dumb for thinking they have to live their lives. What I'm concerned about is that they don't realize that those people that they're putting in positions of authority are taking advantage of those positions, and quite frankly, they are making it harder for you folks to live, right? This is the concern. This is the thing that I consider and I look at on a day-to-day basis. The people who are put in power should be good people. They should be uncorruptible people. They should be diligent people. They should be honest people. They should be people who know the law, and they should be people who follow the law, and then following that, they should be looking at the will of the people and doing what the people are saying that they want, so long as the law doesn't say otherwise. This is what governing people, this is why a representative republic is, because the people who are put in place should be put there to represent their constituents, but that should be done after the law is considered. That's what the republic part of the thing is. A nation under law, all right? The representative is that they ought to be representing you, that they ought to be governing as the people see fit, so long as it's within the law of the land. And obviously I can talk about all of that, the law of the land, right? The Constitution and various federal laws and various state laws and what applies and what doesn't and so forth. But that's not really what this is intended to get into today. Today what we're supposed to be talking about is why we have the form of government representative republic. And the answer is republic, that is under law, and representative, that is that they should be representing you within those legal confines. All right. If you ask for things that aren't legal, then they need to stand up, have a backbone, and say, you can't have that. Here's why. The law says this. You can't have what you want. I get that you want that. You can't have that. The only way to change that is to change the law, and this is what's necessary to change whatever law, whatever level needs to be changed in order to make it possible to do or accomplish what it is that you want. This is, in my mind, why we have a representative republic. It isn't because they're the best and the smartest. Right? It's because we need people who are there consistently to do the job of governing. And they need to know the ins and outs, and that means they need to be there consistently to learn those things. All right, I need to go ahead and wrap up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Monday, the 2nd of August of 2021, the beginning of that all-important work week for lots of folks. Thank you for everybody who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Remember, YouTube is my preferred platform. If you want, you can give me a positive rumble there. That's what I prefer. But obviously, you can give me a negative one if you want to do that as well. You can give me a like or a thumbs up on YouTube if you want to do that. And again, that's my preferred thing there as well. You can give me a dislike or a thumbs down on YouTube as well if you feel the need to do that. If I get ratioed, I get ratioed. It means that I didn't deliver good content. That's what that means, right? Or a bunch of people were trolling me, one or the other. But basically, it means that there weren't enough people to whom I delivered good content to not get ratioed. Okay, the subject for today has been why a representative republic. Tomorrow we're going to talk on still things to learn. And this is based on something that I had somebody say to me recently about thinking you know everything. And we'll get into that tomorrow and we'll talk about it. You'll see what I'm saying. I think you'll get the idea of the correlation between the two. I don't think it's all that complex, to be honest with you. But we'll talk about it tomorrow and you'll have an opportunity to hear exactly what it is that I have to say about that. Hope you're having a good day today. I hope things are going well for you and that you had a good weekend. I hope those who celebrate the Sabbath had a good Sabbath this week. And hopefully we will see you again on Tuesday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Monday, the 2nd of August of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S. .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.